Hi, I'm Brian Russell, and I want to speak with you for a few minutes about the importance of intentional transformational community, particularly transformational community that focuses on our spiritual formation and growth in grace so that we can show up and live out of that space that God calls us to, that place of holiness of heart and life, love for God and loving your neighbor as you love yourself. I mean, that's the goal of the kind of community that I'm talking about. So one of the first questions you want to ask is, do you have people in your life who love you enough that you trust and who trust you and who are committed to helping you grow? I wouldn't be where I am today without having had the opportunity to be in such groups. I know I was mentored when I was a seminary student by several of the professors that I had the privilege to study with, and it was always in small group settings where we shared really deeply and openly from a place of trust. One of my favorite scriptures that I think illustrates why community is so necessary is John 11. And if you remember that text, that's the famous raising of Lazarus from the dead. And one of the pieces of the story that I appreciate the most is at the moment when Jesus raises Lazarus, he has to call him out of the tomb. So Lazarus wakes up, it's all dark. And remarkably, again, Jesus could have raised Lazarus in a number of ways, but Jesus raises up Lazarus in a way that Lazarus is still completely bound in his grave clothes. So I imagined him having bandages covering his eyes and he's all wrapped up and he has to hobble or hop or who knows what he looks like coming out of the grave, but he's kind of like a mummy coming out. And Jesus doesn't take off Lazarus's grave clothes. Lazarus says to the people who are already out of the tomb, who are alive, who are living in the light, to unbind him. That's what transformational community and transformational relationships look like. Jim Rohn, who was one of my kind of virtual mentors for a season, has a quote that you'll hear often. It's, you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So when I think about the way that Jesus raised Lazarus, when I think about what spiritual formation looks like, I know that I've tried my very best ever since I had those powerful experiences when I was a 20-something-year-old seminary student to surround myself with people who I knew were already on the same journey that I'm on, people that are living on the light. So when you're looking for a community to be part of, it's not just going to be people that you minister with. If you're wise in your own ministry, you're going to be a disciple-making disciple, which means you'll be doing intentional discipling with persons, with people, with men and women. But those won't necessarily be the same people that you want to be in this transformational community with, because you need to be with people who are already fully in the light, fully committed to their own growth in grace and sanctification, and just as importantly, fully committed to your growth and grace. So do you have hitters in your life? And when I use that phrase, hitters, what I mean is what you're looking for, and this is what I've found so helpful in my life, and I've been in some fantastic small groups to this day, is I want people that want to live a big life for God, people that aren't afraid to attempt something big, people that are committed to loving God and loving neighbor, people that are committed to growth and grace, that are practicing the spiritual disciplines and are willing essentially to come alongside me just as I'm willing to come alongside them and to focus for that hour a week or that hour every other week when we meet together just on our souls, because that's what we need, friends. I want to close with an illustration, and most folks have seen a picture of an iceberg before, but what's so remarkable is very little of the iceberg is above the surface. Most of it is below. And friends, I know I'm not special, and I know that there's a lot of complexity underneath the surface in my own life, the closer and the more I open myself up to God's love and God's sanctifying grace, I always just find there's more and more and more to surrender underneath the surface. And what's helped me the most is having people in my life that love me, that model God's unconditionally love for me, so that I can be vulnerable and transparent enough in these group settings to open myself up for even more grace. I'm grateful for the people that have helped to take my grave clothes off so that I can walk and fully follow Jesus. And friends, I encourage you to find those kind of groups for yourself. Live by faith, be known by love, and be voices of hope to others.